Well, welcome to the Mental Margarita Show. We have Chase Oliver with us, presidential candidate for the Libertarian Party for the 2024 election. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on. I look forward to speaking with you and speaking to your audience today.
Well, we're very honored to have you. And, we're going to take this time, you're the Libertarian candidate, and we're going to educate the audience on just what it means to be a Libertarian. But let's go back to the beginning. So before all of this, where did it all begin? So just a little bit about your background and upbringing, what led you to the work that you're doing now as an activist.
Yeah, so I'm 39 years old. I currently live in Atlanta, Georgia. Most of my childhood was spent growing up in a city called Snellville, Georgia, about 30 minutes, a suburb about 30 minutes away from Atlanta. I am a longtime activist. I got started being an anti-war activist, and then I've moved into the areas of immigrant rights and criminal justice reform. And I became a libertarian because I used to be a Democrat, and I kind of left the Democratic Party feeling dissatisfied, and happened to come upon the Libertarian Party in 2010 at the Atlanta Pride Festival. And that's when I first met libertarians and kind of got introduced to the concepts and started voting libertarian. And 4 years later, I was a full-fledged party member. And here I am now in 2024, having run for president, but I've also run for United States Senate in 2022 in the state of Georgia, and I also ran for Congress in 2020 in the 5th District, which is the Atlanta Congressional District. So this is my third run for office, and I'm really excited about traveling the country and speaking the message of liberty to voters, the ideas of libertarianism. And so I'm very thankful to have that opportunity with your audience today out there in Nevada.
Chase Oliver and Mike Termott are on a mission to remove government barriers that stand in the way of your dreams. Here's more about Mike Termott, Libertarian Vice Presidential Candidate. Mike campaigned in 2021 and 2022 as a Libertarian Party candidate in the January special congressional election in Florida's District 20. He served as a police officer in Broward County from 2010 through 2021 as a registered libertarian. Mike's prior career in finance and economics included work with banks as a commercial loan officer, the White House Office of Management and Budget as a financial economist, and as a consulting economist to 3 other federal and international agencies in the field of economic development. From 1992 through 2002, Mike was an advocate in Washington for free markets in the financial services industry. In 2002, he started a professional education business for bank executives, which he successfully ran until 2009, including conferences, webcasting, and strategic consulting. Mike has traveled through 35 countries, taught economics at 3 universities, and substituted at dozens of Broward public schools. To learn more about Mike Termott, visit votechaseoliver.com.
He also has been very active in the party, and not only serving as police officer, but in many different capacities, and a lot of background in economics. And that it looks like the two of you make a great team with the combination of your background. Now,
Oh yeah.
Rolling Stone dubbed you as the most influential libertarian in America. So for the audience that doesn't know, there was a pivotal event that took place. Can you just brief us about that?
Yeah, so in 2022, I ran for the United States Senate. In that race, the Democrat was Senator Raphael Warnock, and the Republican was Herschel Walker, the very famous football player, used to play at the University of Georgia. And I was a Libertarian in that race. And in Georgia, we have runoff rules, which means if no candidate gets over 50%, they take the top 2 candidates and they hold a runoff weeks later. And so I managed to push the race to a runoff, holding both of my opponents under 50% of the vote. And I did so with very limited resources, about $20,000, whereas they spent combined about $250 million. And so just the cost disparity per vote, my cost per vote was about 24 to 26 cents, somewhere around there. Their cost per vote was between $20 and $25. So it just tells you we did a lot with very little in that race. And it's just indicative of the kind of punch above your weight nature that we have to have as libertarians. But that made national headlines when I caused that runoff because it, had the race up in the air for another 4 weeks. And that's what got a lot of people asking me if I thought it would be a good idea if I wanted to run for president. So that kind of was the catalyst for this whole experience.
So the Libertarian Party is a relatively young party, is that right?
Yeah, so we have been around for a little over 50 years at this point. We got started in 1971. It was kind of an offshoot of two kinds of things that had happened in the 70s. Nixon had taken us off the gold standard and not ended the war in Vietnam. So people who would maybe have been traditionally on the conservative side of the aisle kind of created the American Libertarian Party in the spirit of libertarian philosophers, dating all the way back to the time of our founding. But we've only been a formal party since the 1970s, which is over 100 years younger than the Republicans and like 200 years younger or thereabouts than the Democrats. So we're definitely the third largest political in the party, and of those three, we're definitely the youngest.
And there's some very specific characteristics of the Libertarian Party. One is more freedom of the people and less interference from the government and state. So explain what that is.
Well, yeah. Well, at the root of our political philosophy is an idea called the non-aggression principle, which in basic terms says that if you're not aggressing against somebody else, committing force or fraud or coercion or theft or some kind of violence against somebody, you should have no reason to be aggressed against. It's kind of the golden rule, right? Treat others as you want to be treated. Well, we take that into the realm of politics as well, meaning that if you're living your life in peace and not harming anyone, government itself should not invade into your life and really try to change the way you're living your life or make those decisions for you. It's about maximum freedom for each and every individual. And what that creates in a country like ours is an extremely diverse kind of patchwork quilt of a culture, which I believe has made us the strongest nation in the world. And so those kinds of freedom-based ideas facilitate that. But at the end of the day, we want your freedom to be as much as possible. We want the government involvement in your life as little as what's needed. And by that, I mean, as long as you're not harming anybody, no one's harming you, there's no need for government there. And so we want to keep taxes low. Obviously, we believe that taxation itself is a form of theft. And so we want to minimize that theft out of your wallet as much as possible, because it doesn't matter whether it's someone taking the money out of your purse or the government taking out of your paycheck. That's removing power for you to decide where your money is supposed to be going and what it's supposed to be spent on. So we are the most powerful small government party in the United States, and we offer something that's very different from the Democrats and Republicans, who oftentimes use government as their solution to the problems. We find government to be the problem many of the times.
There's a lot of emphasis on peace and not seeing war as a solution, but obviously avoiding those kind of interactions with other countries and things. What kind of in a nutshell is the solution? Because we live in a very aggressive time right now. There's a lot of things going on around the world that are genocide, and just things are just it's heartbreaking, really. Mm-hmm. So how did the libertarian goals align with that to bring a solution?
That's actually what got me involved in the Libertarian Party, was because I was an anti-war activist. I felt like the Democratic Party, especially after we elected Barack Obama, kind of dropped the ball on a lot of those anti-war, pro-diplomacy promises he had made. And so, our belief as libertarians is the only real use for a military, the only legitimate need for a military, is to defend ourselves from invasion. And I think when we see all this tension around the world, many times it is exacerbated or made worse by the fact that the United States kind of has itself placed militarily all over the world. We have bases all over the world. We spend trillions of dollars kind of pushing this kind of military empire. And many times that creates tension around the world towards us. We would feel very nervous, say, if China had a bunch of military bases around our country. We'd go, hey, what's going on here? Well, that's what's happening in nations all over the world. Like, hey, there's a large military presence everywhere for the United States. I don't think that that's the best way for us to be diplomatically engaging the rest of the world. I would like to see our pulling ourselves back from these theaters of engagement, these areas of war or militarily aiding wars around the world, and re-engage ourselves diplomatically, and commit ourselves to the really hard work of getting in the room with leaders from other nations and actually, hammering out the differences over a conference table instead of on a battlefield. And I think we need to lead by example there. I think if we want the rest of the world to be less aggressive, we ourselves have to show ourselves to be less aggressive by changing our foreign policy aims away from this foreign policy that's rooted in exporting our values with a bomb, a bullet, with a drone, and instead exporting our values with free markets and voluntary exchange and diplomatic negotiation. I think that's a better way forward for our country. And if we're going to be the leaders of the free world, I think that's the path we need to take in order for the world to follow us.
It would also save quite about a bit of money too.
Oh, yes, it would. We could cut our military in half. I mean, and we would still be totally capable of handling any situation that was to happen in the United States. We'd be fully capable of defending ourselves. We spend more than, I think, the next 9 nations combined in terms of military spending. And I think we're friendly with like 7 of those nations. And so, it is one of the largest drivers of our debts and deficits every year is military spending. And it's something certainly if I were president, we would be cutting down on as we seek to get to a balanced budget, get our fiscal house in order. A lot of that starts with the Pentagon and all the extra spending. And if you care about the environment, the United States military is the largest emitter of carbon in the United States. They're the largest polluter because of how much carbon they put into the air. And so if we were to cut down our military spending and our military activities around the world, we would also be leading by example for those who are concerned about climate change and carbon being put into the air.
And that's a very good point that you made, because there's still time to make positive changes and save our planet. We're all residents of this planet as a whole. So we have to be sensitive to all of our neighbors, whether they be Americans or not. You have another focus, and that's compassionate healthcare. And talk just briefly about that, because people are in so much need for care, and we've had a flawed system for so long. What are some goals that you have for fixing that?
Yeah, so there's a couple of different aspects to this, but first and foremost, we want to lower the cost of healthcare for people and make it more available for more people to be able to afford healthcare. And you do that by bringing market forces to bear. If we don't have market competition, it's very hard to drive prices down organically. And so one of the things we want to do is make it where it's legal for you to buy health insurance across state lines. If you were to do that, you're going to have more competitors in the marketplace seeking customers. We also want to talk about alternatives to the traditional insurance model, things like direct primary care, which is a model of care where you pay to a doctor's office directly. You don't go through the insurance programs or anything that's like basic health care. And then you buy yourself a catastrophic health insurance policy for if you have a serious injury or a serious illness. This would save many consumers, many families, thousands of dollars a year. Speaking of saving families money, we want to raise and actually remove entirely the cap on health savings accounts, because right now I believe they're capped somewhere around $4,000 for an individual, but the average individual spends over $13,000 a year in healthcare. So why would we cap that tax-free spending that you can do through an HSA? Remove that entirely so people can spend their health or purchase their healthcare without any tax burden at all. But fully removing the tax barrier to entry for purchasing health insurance or healthcare. We want to be able to buy drugs across international borders, because this would drive prices down for prescription drugs here in the United States. And then there's the practice. When I ran for Senate, one of the things Senator Warnock touted was how he was going to lower the cost of insulin and for Medicare patients, which he did for the end user. Like you pay the $35 at the end user, but he didn't lower the cost of insulin. It just means that's being spread across all the taxpayers. If you really want to lower the cost of insulin, you get rid of patent evergreening, which is what allows them to stay on the market without any generics. If you remove patent evergreening, generics more quickly come on the market and can be competitive. And if there was a generic to insulin today, it would be on Mark Cuban's Cost Plus Drugs website, available for the cost of production plus 15% for anybody to buy, saving them thousands and thousands of dollars. So these are common sense solutions that both parties can get around. Like, we could get both Democrats and Republicans on board with these reforms, and it would lower the cost of healthcare without having the fights that we're seeing between, say, Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, offering very, very different versions of healthcare. These are common sense reforms that we could coalesce people around that would lower the cost of healthcare and lower the impact of that in your life every day.
That's good news to me, and to a lot of other people too. I think that the general public gets frustrated because they don't see a solution ahead. So it's helpful to hear that from you as a presidential candidate. And there's all kinds of ways to bring about positive change, and peacefully, and like you said, common sense solutions. It really doesn't require a whole lot.
Well, a lot of that's by design. A lot of that is by design, where the two major parties don't solve the problems. They would rather keep fighting with each other and arguing instead of actually solving the problem, because if they solve it, what do they fundraise off of? What do they run on, right? And so it really is sometimes in their best interest to kick the can down the road so that they can keep beating each other up over about it. I say it's kind of like pro wrestling. They're fighting each other, but it's really a choreographed performance that's very, very, requires a lot of talent, a lot of skill. But at the end of the day, it's being choreographed by people to make you angry and make you upset and make you get out and vote for your preferred candidate because they promised to fix it this time. Oh, I'll fix it this time. They keep dangling that line in front of you. I think it's much better for us to just get the people in the room, get the work done, not worry about who gets the glory, but let's help the people of the United States. And healthcare is one great example of that, where I just wish more and more people would figure out where they can find areas of agreement and get those things done, as opposed to arguing over many of the things they disagree about that don't go anywhere.
What does our Libertarian Party look like across the nation, as far as people that are already in office that can support you coming in?
So we have hundreds of elected libertarians across the country. Most of those are at the local level, things like city clerks, city councils, auditors, city managers. We have mayors. We most of that is the local grassroots level kind of offices. And we've had state legislators in the past. We've also had a member of Congress, though that was Justin Amash. He was elected as a Republican and then became a Libertarian. But we have had representation in Congress in the past. So we are a growing party. We are on the ballot for president and vice president, on the ballot in 47 states. The remaining 3 states in DC, we are going to be certified write-in candidates. So we have the most ballot access of any of the alternative parties, the Republicans and Democrats out there. And we are looking to grow our membership. I would urge people to join the party, to get involved in their local affiliate. We do have 50 state affiliates, and many of those states have numbers of local affiliates you can get involved in. So even if you just want to get involved in those political issues that affect maybe your neighborhood or your town or your city, there's oftentimes a Libertarian affiliate for you there. If not, your state party can help you start that Libertarian affiliate. So we want people to get involved in the party to help grow us organically. And that's one of the reasons I'm doing this. Win or lose in November, the White House, we can grow the Libertarian Party by, getting people engaged and, of course, winning ballot access and major party status in states all over the country. So we're a party on the rise, and I encourage people to check us out and check out this campaign as well.
More and more people are waking up to the fact that the two-party system is really a one-party system in this country. I guarantee you, when you make it hurt for the Democratic and Republican parties, they will become a heck of a lot more responsive to the needs of you, the voters, and not the people who back them. They're corporate lobbyist partners who buy and trade congressmen like cattle at an auction yard. Compare my platform to that of Kamala Harris or Donald Trump, and you will see that the Libertarian Party platform is the one that will grow prosperity, that will increase your freedom and your ability to live your life and raise your family as you see fit. A vote for me, but what it is, it's a vote to build up a Libertarian Party that can actually rise up to challenge these two parties, to put these ideas forward to the American people. And this is what will break the back of a duopoly and engaging in political pro wrestling, where they're not really fighting each other, but they're putting on a performance. You're not going to get anything meaningfully different from what the two-party system has provided you your entire life. The lesser of two evil is still evil. Chase your dreams. Empower yourselves.
I'm Chase Oliver, a candidate for president, and I approve this message.
And thank you for taking time out of your day and your campaign tour to visit with us. And we're going to direct people to your website for more information about becoming a Libertarian, about you and your running mate. And so they have information, because knowledge is power. And the more people know, the more they can do and feel empowered themselves when it comes time to vote.
Well, thank you so much. I know me and Mike Tremont, my running mate, who are traveling across we're both traveling across the country speaking the message. And we're thankful for folks like yourself that give us the opportunity to speak outward, especially to folks who might not be a Libertarian yet, but now might be Libertarian curious by the end of this interview. Yes, please check us out. VoteChaseOliver.com is my website, and LP.org is the National Libertarian Party website if you want to learn more about the party itself. But I encourage folks, if you see me out across the country, come out, shake my hand. I'd love to meet you in person. And next time I'm in your neck of the woods, we'll have to meet in person as well.
Yes, definitely. Well, thank you so much, Chase. And we wish you all the best in the Mental Margarita Show. I have one last question for you. Our
Sure.
show is called Mental Margarita for a reason. Mental Margarita means, what's your escape? What do you do to kind of get away from the craziness of the day and things? That's kind of how you find center.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm an avid Trekkie. So one of the things like that I constantly do when I'm say cleaning up around the house, or kind of getting myself ready to go out or whatever, is I do watch old episodes of Star Trek. Usually it's either Deep Space Nine or The Next Generation, the Star Trek I grew up on. But I've seen every episode a dozen times now. But for whatever reason, I just keep coming back to it because it's a happy kind of centered thing. I don't know, maybe the vibes of that show help center me out a little bit. So I would say that's probably my number one, when I get home at the end of the day, pop on some Star Trek and relax.
Great. Well, we definitely love us some Star Trek here. And thank you for sharing that with us. And you have a wonderful rest of your day, and be safe out there. And we look forward to some updates and seeing how things are going as the election progresses.
Excellent. Peace, love, and liberty to you.
Due to the lack of time, Chase Oliver was unable to share with you all of his goals and objectives regarding many issues facing our nation. To find out more about his values and future plans for our country in detail, visit VoteChaseOliver.com.
Hi, I'm Melanie Spotts, an experienced nurse practitioner with over 12 years in healthcare. I have launched a cutting-edge telehealth platform offering a personalized weight loss program and consultations for anti-aging and acne skincare. Optimize your health and wellness and transform the way you look and feel from the comfort of your home with my telehealth services, combining years of experience with the convenience of modern technology.
Ladies and gentlemen, Buffalo, New York's own king of entertainment, Jaretaker!
Ready to feel your best? Peptides like Sermorelin can help you boost your growth hormones naturally. Get better energy, burn fat, and improve your vitality. Contact the Drip Bar Las Vegas to learn how you can feel energized and live better. Contact the Drip Bar today at 702-846-0851. That's 702-846-0851. Discover the healing benefits of CBD. The human body is equipped with an endocannabinoid system designed with receptors which interact with the cannabis plant. A CB1 receptor regulates things such as hunger, temperature, or alertness. A CB2 receptor exists mostly in our immune tissues and is critical to helping control our immune function. Ask Tony Beaudry, a local Las Vegas CBD expert who has had an amazing healing journey. See his story soon on the Mental Margarita Show.
Starstruck, here's a sprinkle of the stardust. Hold your champagne glass and your cigars up. See the guys with mob ties drive the cars up. Bright lights, most nights they buy the bars up. Candy coated Chevy cars on the highway. It's Frankie baby, it's on and this is my way. Dean Martin at the Sands this Friday. With Sammy Davis, here's a little hint where I stay. The city shines like Liberace's mansion, and you know Elvis had the whole city dancing. Showgirl silhouette steady prancing. Shout out to June, just the Copa Girls anthem. Legal gambling, yeah, that would tempt me. The Sin City, holy water couldn't cleanse me. And Wayne Newton had the crowd in a frenzy. Live at the Stardust, the seats never empty. Now if you having a good time in Las Vegas, at the count of 3, I want to hear you scream, Viva Las Vegas. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Viva Las Vegas! In Main Street was the official local beer stop. Enough slot machine noise to make your ears pop. The cigarette girls walking souvenir shops, while Red Fox had them laughing till the tears drop. Before Steve got a win at the right time, Sig and Roy had a long circus lifeline. Now the strips got a lot of neon light signs. Would you agree there's not another city like mine?